Jeffrey Kaye of KCET Los Angeles reports on the fishing story.
Each morning on the docks of Eureka, California, the ocean's bounty is on display as fishing boats unload their catch. A catch which, since the gold rush days, has provided dollars and jobs for this community on the state's rugged north coast. Fishing has also meant an often hard-scrabble way of life for the men and women who crew the vessels. A monument in the harbor to local fishermen lost at sea is a testament to the dangers of commercial fishing. But increasingly there are other perils, environmental and economic. Eureka fishermen are catching only a third as much fish as they did 20 years ago. On the waterfront, anxiety seems to be as much in the air as the smell of sea salt. Kurt Meng captains a 75-foot trawler.
How's that?
Money's really tight. We're not driving new cars and stuff, and bank accounts are really low, having a hard time paying taxes, but I don't know another fisherman that can say anything different than that about the industry and the way his income is right now.
Eureka's troubles are not unique. From New England to Alaska, American fishermen have witnessed a fishing boom go bust as they faced dwindling fish stocks, increased competition, and tightening government regulations. The crisis in America's multi-billion-dollar fishing industry is often summed up as too many boats chasing too few fish.
Fishery management in our country is a disaster. Fisheries depend on fish, and we can't keep killing more than the sea can provide.
Elliot Norse is president of the Marine Conservation Biology Institute, an environmental group.
The number of boats should reflect the number of fish, but the number of boats is higher as the number of fish are fewer than ever before. That doesn't make sense. That makes sure that fishermen are always skirting the edge of economic disaster. That's not the way they want to live, and that's not the way marine life can live.
A record 107 species of fish in U.S. coastal waters are now considered as threatened because of overfishing. They include such seafood staples as red snapper, flounder, and swordfish. Paul Pellegrini's family has been fishing Northern California waters for 3 generations. Fishing has brought his family both success and tragedy. The names of his brother and his wife's brother are both chiseled into Eureka's monument to fishermen lost at sea. The men were killed in a single freak shipboard accident. Pellegrini's way of life is a continuing struggle.
There's always been competition. Fishermen are competitive by nature,
right.
You know.
And now?
They still are, but it's more intense because they're fighting for that fish you're catching. So, you know, they want to catch every last one as much as you need to catch it to survive too. So it's a fight for the fish.
That fight increasingly keeps Pellegrini out on the open ocean looking for fish.
When are you going to be back? That's the important question.
Instead of at home with his wife Ronnie and their 2 daughters.
You just get used to him being home. Hi, how you doing? You know, hugs and kisses, and he's got to go again. So, you know, it gets kind of sad. The kids cry, I cry, and it's tough.
Hard times also affect the businesses that rely on fishing. The Eureka Fisheries Plant is one of the largest seafood processors on the West Coast. In the last 15 years, the plant has cut 2/3 of its workforce, according to company president Peter Hall.
We would be operating 5 or 6 days a week, filleting and processing fish, and now we're operating 2 to 3 days a week, and we have half or a third of the personnel that we would have had. So there's been a huge change.
What's gone wrong with America's fishing industry can be traced back to government policies created more than a quarter of a century ago. Policies intended to turn the U.S. into a fishing superpower may have worked all too well. In 1976, the U.S. government shut out foreign competition off the coast by extending American territorial waters from 12 to 200 miles. The move essentially put up do not enter signs for foreign vessels and gave U.S. ships exclusive fishing rights.
We really did a good job in the government, I think, of getting our industry up to one of the leaders.
Bill Hogarth, acting director of the Department of Commerce's Fisheries Department, remembers when the fishing boom began.
We had programs that encouraged fishing. We had programs that encouraged increased technology. We had programs that encouraged export. It was a united government effort to make America one of the leading fishing nations. And like I said, we did it.
To promote the fishing industry, the government spent millions of dollars on tax credits and low-interest loans that encouraged boat construction and equipment purchases.
The money was really easy to get. You guys built bigger and better boats with more sophisticated equipment, and basically the government threw the money at them.
In Eureka, as in other seaports, Uncle Sam's generosity spawned a fishing gold rush. Eureka's docks were teeming with investors and government officials, says the executive director of the Fishermen's Marketing Association, Peter Leipzig.
Not only were the doctors and the lawyers coming in and investing and purchasing boats, and they would look for crew to run these boats for them, but you had people from the National Marine Fisheries Service making trips up this way, trying to convince existing fishermen to take out loans, to buy a new boat. That was their job, fisheries development, and they went out of their way to find these people.
100 feet wide.
Eureka's commercial fishing fleet doubled as fishermen like Gib Hunter took advantage of government assistance. Hunter, who started as a whaler in 1948, is the patriarch of Eureka's wealthiest fishing family. Federal assistance helped him buy a boat and retrofit his 8-vessel fleet with the latest technology.
We bought new electronics, new navigational equipment, and better equipment on the boats. Sure, some of my boats were old.
And so what did this equipment do for you?
But, well, it made them much more efficient.
You could catch more fish.
Catch more fish, yeah.
Science and subsidies allowed fishermen to replace guesswork with technology.
And then you'd see the bottom coming up, and you could adjust the net with the throttle.
On today's fishing vessels, computer skills are as essential as basic seamanship.
So this would basically show the net and the fish and the relationship between the net and the fish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so you can put the net where you need it to be.
Right.
While technological advances made the U.S. fishing industry efficient and productive, they also helped devastate American fisheries, according to critics.
As fishing boats have become bigger, faster, better at finding and catching fish, the fish have not gotten any smarter. They've not gotten any better at reproducing their numbers. And so the war between people and fish has continued to tilt in favor of people.
Many American fishermen blame climate changes and overfishing by foreign fleets for reducing the fish populations, but U.S. government officials now acknowledge that past policies that encouraged overfishing were short-sighted.
Everybody thought the ocean was big. You could overfish the ocean. You know, it's a massive amount of water. You could go out there anywhere and you can catch fish. And I think as we learn more about the movements of fish, but the habitat requirements, we find out that that's definitely not true. And so we're learning more, and at the same time, we realize we made mistakes, if you want to call it, in management.
To make up for those mistakes, the government has imposed tougher regulations in recent years.
They're far too strict. The regulations are bogus. It seems like we're in a running battle with the federal biologists. They just want to keep cutting us down. They want to win at every small battle. They don't want to give it all.
With livelihoods threatened, the fishing industry must resolve a serious dilemma. It's made huge investments in fleets of boats and sophisticated equipment, but now faces serious limitations on where to fish and how much to catch. So the industry has a solution, which, like solutions of the past, again involves the government.
I think it completes the circle, that we got into it. The federal government assisted people under good, meaning policies to get us here. Under some new, good, meaning policies, I think we should be helping people get out of it.
What was this before? Leipzig, like other industry leaders, now wants the government to lure fishermen off the water. They propose a national multi-million-dollar program to buy back fishermen's boats. Leipzig says most of the 150 trawlers in his association could be mothballed if the price were right.
The people that remain in the fishing industry will be able to be economically viable harvesting units once again and contribute effectively to their communities and to the management process.
The government is exploring the feasibility of buyback programs. Where they've been tried in the past, however, there have been problems. Federal investigators found that some fishermen used their boat sale profits to buy other vessels. But a buyback program has little appeal for many fishermen like Paul Pellegrini.
I put a lot of elbow grease into my boats, and I care about them just as much as I do a person, you know, and I'd hate to see somebody go destroy this boat just because I'm not allowed to go fishing with it anymore.
As for environmentalists, they want expanded restrictions, namely the establishment of marine protected areas, underwater national parks where fishing would be prohibited. Off the coasts of California and Florida, government-funded scientists are studying the feasibility of the proposals. As America charts a public policy course to protect its fish and its fishing industry, the sailing is likely to be anything but smooth.